Welcome back to Aethlon Medical's channel with novel immunotherapies to combat cancer and life-threatening viral infections. Joining us to take us through the cancer trials themselves, we have Steve LaRosa, the Chief Medical Officer, to really give us some clerical insight today. Welcome, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad, living the dream, and it's a pleasure to get you on. So I'm hoping to get some real deep insight here. As Aethlon received clearance from the Drug Controller General of India for potential phase 1 trials of its purifier cancer trials. So do you want to break down these cancer trials and just give us like the full clerical insight into exactly what this looks like?
Yeah, sure. So for those who don't know, that the clearance is the regulatory agency for India. So essentially the equivalent of the US FDA. So they're allowing clearance for us to proceed with the oncology trial in India. A necessary step of that will be actually getting ethics board approval from the sites. That would be the next step. But the trial is actually designed to look at the safety and feasibility of using our product, which is the Aethlon Hemopurifier, an investigational device, in patients who are with solid tumors who are failing anti-PD-1 inhibitors. And so the drugs that people are probably familiar with are Keytruda and Opdivo. These have been revolutionary drugs. What they do is actually bind and remove a mediator that impairs the body's T cells against fighting tumors. So these antibodies remove this ligand, and then the T cells are restored, and one's own natural immune system fights the tumors. And these have been revolutionary in a number of tumor types like melanoma, non-small cell lung cancer. And so they're great when they work. Unfortunately, only about 30% of people who get treated with these will have a lasting response. So when they work, they're life-changing. When they don't work, the patients are left with a variety of really unattractive salvage treatments. One of the key theories or hypotheses of why these drugs fail is that the tumors release small extracellular vesicles that have the ligand on their surface. They have PD-L1 on their surface. And this ligand is on these extracellular vesicles is serving as a decoy molecule, basically going in and inactivating the T cells before the antibody can actually bind. So a hypothesis is if you could remove these extracellular vesicles with the PD-L1 ligand on them, could you actually restore the response to the anti-PD-1 drugs? Could you take it from 30% to 40 or 50%, which would really make a huge impact for the individual patient if they could, again, essentially respond to a drug that they had stopped responding to. And so that's the overlying theory behind the study. The way it's set up is it's set up as since we are relatively new to the oncology space, it's predominantly set up as safety and feasibility. So can patients with these tumors receive the hemopurifier and tolerate it well? But it's also designed to answer some very important questions, which is how often do you actually have to administer the hemopurifier to remove these extracellular vesicles and keep them down? And then equally important is when you take out these vesicles, does it actually improve the patient's T cell response against the tumors? So the study is set up in a number of cohorts where we first look at one hemopurifier treatment in a given week, and then following a safety review, 2 hemopurifier treatments in a given week. And then the final cohort, 3 hemopurifiers, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday in a given week. And it will let us not only look at how well the patients tolerate being put on the device, but again, answering those questions about how many extracellular vesicles do we remove and how long do they stay down for, and then are we improving the immune response? So it accomplishes many goals that would actually inform a future efficacy trial looking at clinical response.
Now, do you want to just give us a little bit of insight from the trial standpoint? What's the timeline with this phase 1? Are you guys just operating these trials in India? Are you operating other trials elsewhere? Just give us some insight on that.
So we are going to operate a similar trial both in India and Australia, taking advantage of they have a very favorable regulatory pathway whereby you go directly to the sites and get ethics board approval, and then inform the regulatory agency. In this case, in India, we actually already have that. So you submit a package to the clinical sites themselves, and where we are is we're completing some internal binding studies that will be kind of the finishing touches on that, and the materials that would actually go into the ethics board. So we hope to do those over the next finish those up over the next couple months, and then submit to the ethics boards thereafter.
Now, this is very technical, and I'm hoping you can simplify it a little bit from the people that are able to benefit from the drug. I know we were briefly iterating like what you can do for patients that aren't as responding as well. Do you just want to kind of clarify a little bit of that?
Right. So as I mentioned, 30% of people will respond to their anti-PD-1 therapy. So those patients just continue on getting that drug, and fortunately do quite well. It's that other 70% that after 2 months, there's imaging done, CAT scans, X-rays, MRIs, and they're shown that there's either no improvement or actually progression of the tumor size. For those patients, there's not a whole lot that typically can be offered to them. There's a variety of unproven combination chemotherapy regimens that aren't particularly effective and also can be toxic. So what you'd like to do is actually resuscitate the anti-PD-1 drug, actually make the patient a responder. And again, the goal is to take out the extracellular vesicles that may be causing that failure to respond.
On that note, I really appreciate these insights today, and I'll pass that question off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section below, and definitely consider subscribing, because as news and catalysts continue to come down the wire, of course, we're going to bring it to you here. But on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.